Solía jugar al fútbol. Solíamos visitar a nuestros abuelos. Solía vivir en México. What if I told you there is one Spanish structure that lets you talk about your entire childhood without worrying about most past tenses rules? Amigas y amigas, welcome back. This is Profe Juan, and by the end of this video, you'll understand what solía really means, why native speakers use it constantly, and how it can make talking about the past much easier. And as I always tell you, this is not about complicated grammar, it's just how Spanish actually works, okay? So, let's start from the beginning, from the top. Many learners want to talk about the past, but then they discover hablé, hablaba, he hablado, había hablado, and suddenly things feel complicated. The good news, there's a very useful shortcut, and it starts with the word solía. Let me remind you first, sometimes we're talking about one event, something that happened once, but sometimes we're talking about habits, routines, things that were normal for a long period of time. That's where soler becomes incredibly useful. So the big idea here is that soler talks about habits. Solía talks about past habits. That's it. When you use solía, you're telling people, this used to be normal for me. Okay? Look at this. Solía jugar al fútbol. I used to play soccer. Not once, not twice, repeatedly, as a habit. In the past, of course. More examples. Solía leer mucho. I used to read a lot. Not anymore, sadly. Solía caminar al trabajo. I used to walk to work. Not anymore. Solía tomar café todas las mañanas. I used to drink coffee every morning. The focus isn't a specific event. The focus is a routine. And this is why solía is such a powerful shortcut, because it lets you summarize years of your life in just one small sentence. Look at this. Cuando era niño, solía jugar afuera. When I was a child, I used to play outside. And here, cuando era niño, this triggers like the imperfect. See? Imperfect past. When I was a child, I used to play outside. Let's look at another example. Solíamos visitar a nuestros abuelos los domingos. Solíamos visitar a nuestros abuelos los domingos. We used to visit our grandparents on Sundays. And look at this. Even when you don't realize this is a structure using the imperfect past, solíamos is triggering that. Then you could say, then you can use any verb in the infinitive form to express what you used to do in the past. Solíamos visitar, solíamos comer, solíamos viajar, etc., etc., etc. Next example. Yo solía ver dibujos animados después de la escuela. I used to watch cartoons after school. Again, we use the verb solía, triggering the perfect, and then we have an infinitive form of a different verb, in this case, to watch. Solíamos pasar los veranos en la playa. We used to spend summers at the beach. These are exactly the kinds of stories people tell all the time. When you were a child, when you're with your friend having a beer, and when we were little, I used to do this and that and that and that. You can become a storyteller with this little shortcut. Now compare this with a normal past tense, because the difference is huge. Look at this. Jugué al fútbol. I played soccer. Once, one event, one occasion. You haven't played soccer anymore, apparently. Now compare this with solía jugar al fútbol. I used to play soccer. A habit, a routine, a repeated action in the past, right? Probably every Sunday, probably every day, maybe. Look at this. Viví en México. I live in Mexico once. Solía vivir en México. I used to live in Mexico. The second sentence focuses much more on a period of time, not just the event itself. But why learners like you love this structure, this solía structure? Imagine someone asks you, what was your childhood like? Instead of worrying about many different past forms and, oh no, I need to conjugate like 15 verbs in the past, it's as easy as using solía plus the different verbs in the infinitive form. Solía jugar al fútbol. Solía leer mucho. Solía pasar tiempo con mis amigos. This is instantly. You're talking about repeating actions in the past like this. Easy, easy, easy. Fácil. That's why this structure appears so often in conversations. Now let's understand the pattern. I have it in the present. Suelo estudiar español. I usually study Spanish. Honestly, in the simple present, we sometimes keep the verb soler, suelo, because the simple present expresses habits itself, right? So, yo estudio español. Yo como ensalada todos los días. But I have it in the past. Solía estudiar español. I used to study Spanish. And that's a beautiful shortcut. Let's do a little recap here. Soler is for habits. Solía is for past habits. Solía jugar al fútbol, not anymore. Solía leer mucho when I was a child. Solíamos visitar a nuestros abuelos. Solíamos visitar a nuestros abuelos when we were little. The big idea is simple. If something used to be a routine, solía is often one of the easiest ways to talk about it. But now it's your turn. Write one sentence using solía. Por ejemplo, solía jugar videojuegos cuando era niño. Or any sentence you have right here when you want to talk about your childhood. One sentence is more than enough. I'll make sure to read it, correct it, and if you, have a perfect example, I'm just gonna give you a thumbs up and I'm gonna appreciate your comment. And if you want to understand how solía fits into the bigger Spanish past tense system, watch our video, Why Spanish Has So Many Past Tenses, right next. That's where this structure really starts to make sense. If this helped you talk about the past more easily, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Ciao!